when we're looking at smoking versus vaping. Vaping is probably worse in terms of the damage to the airway and the insulin resistance that comes from it. But this gets worse because we know that insulin resistance is the core for most chronic diseases that are killing us, and there's a handful of other lifestyle habits that's contributing to it.
That's horrifying. So tell me everything.
Dr. Benjamin Bickman is a leading metabolic scientist
whose research focuses on the hidden epidemic of insulin resistance and its devastating consequences.
And by regaining control of your insulin levels, he says you can regain control of your life.
Insulin is a hormone that affects literally every single cell of the body. But if those cells become insulin resistant, you start to spread the disease. For example, they call Alzheimer's insulin resistance of the brain. And even the most common forms of infertility, erectile dysfunction and PCOS, insulin resistance is a heavy contributor. Now, 88% of adults in the US have some degree of insulin resistance. And people hear this and think America is just fat and metabolically sick. But we're not actually the worst country when it comes to this. And part of it is because of how different ethnicities store fat. And I'll come back to that. But there's two roads to insulin resistance. So there's the fast lane, and I could make you insulin resistant in 6 hours with either of these common three things. But if I removed them, your resistance would go away just as quickly. Now, the slow lane, that's a problem. And there's certain lifestyle habits and problems with our diets that are massively contributing to slow insulin resistance. Now, thankfully, this can be resolved through 4 pillars, which are very simple.
We'll get into that, but why don't we just sack all this off and just take a Ozempic?
Well, because people may not know about the negative side effects. For example, 40% of the weight that people are losing on these drugs is coming from...
Holy